This is Voli Media. Voice of Liberty International, Voli. The voice of all ethnic nationalities in the Lower Niger region under NINAS. The Anang, Beni, Efik, Isha, Ibibio, Igbo, Ikwere, Isoko, Ijo, Kalabari, Obolo, Ogoni, Okrika, Oron, Urobo, and others. This is Voice of Liberty International, VOLI, bringing to you messages of hope, trust, and truth. We shall show live broadcasts on the following days: Sunday by 7 p.m., Wednesday by 7 p.m., and Friday by 8 p.m., all at the homeland time. Tune in at these times for live streaming programs. This is VOLI Media.
Hello, everyone. This is Voli Media, Voice of Liberty International Media, coming to you today from Abuja. I am Ndidi Uwechwe. This is the voice of every ethnic nationality in the Lower Niger Bloc, that is the South, South, and Southeast together under NINAS, and we bring you messages of hope, trust, and truth. Today's conversation or topic is the 1999 Constitution is technically defeated. So here's how we make it practically defeated. I think I'm going to start off by saying what a constitution is, because, we hear this word, people say it's constitution, it's not constitutional. It could be that we don't know what it is. Now, a constitution is a set of laws, and human beings, if we want to live well, we have to live under a set of laws. And that is why God, he knew that, and he gave his people the 10 commandments. They are a set of laws to live by. So a constitution is also a set of laws. And actually, after the 10 commandments, he also gave them the book of Deuteronomy. So the Constitution, because it's a set of laws, it's legal text. So it means that the words that are used will be legal words. They're not words of a cookery book or words of a science book. They use legal terms, legal terminology. And it provides an official framework. That means an official guide for how a country is to be governed. And it creates institutions for the country. It identifies the rights of the people. It tells the people, what the government will do for them, and what kind of governments that they're going to have. So it's actually seen as the supreme law. So it's the highest law. And because it's the highest law, any of the laws that that country will make has to be based on what the Constitution says in order for that law to be acceptable. And what the Constitution also does is it also provides guidelines in the way that the common people should relate with one another. And it will tell you what national identity is, what the norms are, what the values and aspirations of that country would be. So essentially, a constitution is a very good thing. It's just that in Nigeria, because of the situation we are in, it's a bad thing. But normally, a constitution is a good thing. So it's a legal document. So it's a contract. So it'll say, that this is what the people will do, and this is what the governments will do. So it's like a contract. And that's why some people call it a social contract. It's not a business contract because it's not between business people, but it's between human beings of a country. So it's a social contract. Now, when you see a constitution, any constitution of any country has to have certain set segments. It's kind of like if you look at a cookery, recipe. It will have certain segments. You'll have things like the ingredients, the methods, and how you present the food. The same for constitution. All constitutions have a kind of a set way of sections that they have in them. So you'd have the preamble, that's kind of like the introduction. You'd have preliminaries, so that would be the declaration of the sovereignty, the national characteristics, things like language, religion. After that, you'd have something like the Bill of Rights, and it would list the rights of the people, the economic rights, social rights. It would have the executive branch, that would be the government itself, whether you want a presidential system or you want a parliamentary system or something in between. It would have a legislative branch, that would be the lawmakers. So is it going to be like the parliament, like they have in the UK, or is it going to be a legislature, like in the US and Nigeria, where you have a national assembly? All these things will be specified by the constitution. You'd have the judicial branch, and that would describe the kind of courts the country would have. In some countries, you have a magistrate's court, and then you have a crown court. That would be like in the UK, where you have a monarchy. It would also have a section where you would have the sub-national levels, things like states in Nigeria and in the US. Well, in the UK, it would be something like counties, although the UK is slightly different because they don't have a constitution, but that's a historic thing. It would also describe the institutions like the police, electoral commission, things like that. It would also have amendment procedures, because once you've written the constitution, things would happen in the future. You don't want to have to keep on rewriting. So it would explain how, if they need to amend anything, how that goes about. So, so we've just gone briefly through a constitution. It has to have certain sections. Then the next thing is, how do you make a constitution? It's important that we listen for this one, because in Nigeria, they keep on saying, well, the National Assembly will make it. National Assembly, the politicians. It is not the politicians that make a constitution. It is we, the people. So we need to get that clear. It is we, the people. Because remember I said that the constitution will describe what kind of government you're going to have, whether you're going to have a president or prime minister, National Assembly or parliament, things like this. So it can't be the politicians that are making it when the constitution actually creates their positions. So it's always we, the people, that make it. So each country that's going to have a constitution, they will decide how they go about it. After that, they then have to elect who will do it, and that will be among the people. So you can call that group the Constituent Assembly. They will know what the people want, and then they will begin to do a draft constitution. So it's not it's not the final version, but it's a draft, because the people have to agree it before it becomes a real constitution. Sometimes they do it several drafts. So it's not just one draft. They have to get it right. So they'll do a draft constitution. They will keep on asking the public, because it's all for the good of the country, to have an input, so that they'll be guided by that. When they finally finish the draft constitution, they'll present it to the people, and it'll go to referendum. If the people allow it and they like it, then yes, it's now legitimized by referendum. If the people don't like some parts of it, then the group goes back, the Constituent Assembly, and they rewrite it, or they write the sections that the people don't like, and then they bring it to another referendum. So essentially, for something to be called a constitution, it has to be legitimized by referendum by we, the people, because it is a document for and by we, the people. Okay, so that's briefly an introduction to what a constitution is. We're now going to discuss the 1999 Nigeria Constitution. And there are many, many things wrong with that constitution. In fact, all of it is wrong, okay? Firstly, for it to be called a constitution, as I said, the people of Nigeria have to make it via that group that they select, called the Constituent Assembly. Then they also have to agree it, the draft, by referendum. That didn't happen. None of that happened. That group did not make it. The referendum did not happen either. What happened was in 1999, when we started what they call civilian rule, General Abdul Salam Abubakar, he handed a document to Obasanjo and said, here, take this. This is the 1999 Constitution and that you're going to rule by it. So because that's the way it came about, it's not really a constitution. It's a make-believe constitution. It's actually a lying constitution, and it's a forgery because it didn't happen the right way. You know, you just take a bunch of papers, you write the name Niger Constitution, and then you call it a constitution. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's a very important document. It's not a joke, and the people really have to agree to it because it's the way they and their children are going to live. So that is why it's so important that we get it right. So everything is wrong with it. Now, some people will say, oh, that there's a problem with the 1999 Constitution. Well, the word problem is not strong enough. There, it's wrong. That Constitution is wrong. So for instance, if I'm reading a book, let's say I have a book and I'm reading it. As I'm reading the book, I find that one page of the book is missing. Well, I'll say that's a problem because I still have a book and a page is missing. So it's a problem. But if instead I take, let's say, some serviettes, and I have one serviette here, it's a napkin, yeah? So this is just a napkin that you use if you're having a meal. If I have a whole stack of them and I staple them together and I write on top of it 1999 Constitution, and I give it to some people and I said, here, this is your Constitution. We can't say that there's a problem. What we say is that it's wrong because it's not a constitution. And so we need to get it clear that Nigeria's 1999 Constitution is all wrong. Now, I said it's a forgery, and I'll explain. And because it's a forgery, it's illegitimate. So I'll explain with a little story, and we call it a scenario. So just imagine there's a young man, and I'll just give him his name, Akban. And he lives in a country where if a man gets married, his wife's belongings, all her possessions belong to the husband once they get married. So this young man, being lazy and greedy, he's looking around for a rich young lady who can marry him. So he finds a woman, a young lady, and he finds that her name is Atito. So he goes to the registry office. He has a friend there who gives him a marriage certificate that's empty. He fills in his name, he fills in Atito's name, then he signs his signature and he signs for Atito. He forges her signature. So he's holding this fake marriage certificate. It's a forgery because he's put somebody else's signature on it, and he's telling everybody he's married to Atito. People look at the certificate, it looks real enough, so they assume, yeah, he's married, but they don't realize that he's faked his signature. So he goes to Atito's house and he grabs Atito and he says to Atito, look, you're my wife. Look, I've got this marriage certificate. So everything that's yours now belongs to me. Now, this sounds like a silly story because, of course she's going to say, no, I'm not married to you. I don't know who you are. Get away from here. She's going to grab that certificate and marriage certificate that's fake, and she's going to tear it up. And that's the end of that. But that story is more or less what happened to us in Nigeria, even though it sounds really strange. That 1999 Constitution, we did not make it. What had happened is that the original Nigeria that our forefathers had agreed to be in to be in the Union, it ended in 1966 when we had the first coups. So 1966, it's kind of like, that's when the marriage ended. The military came in and they began to rule by decree. So it's kind of like a forced marriage now because the original marriage has ended. When that happened, everybody should have gone home. You go home to your mom's house, your dad's house, or whatever. But then the military, they forced us into marriage and they said you're married still. And then they used military decrees. And then today it's that 1999 Constitution. You're in this marriage and you're forcing you in it. But the marriage, the real marriage, ended in 1999 with the coups. So that's what the 1999 Constitution is doing to us. Now, there are several deceits that have happened around this Constitution, and we'll talk about some of them because it's important that we know the truth, because it's when you have the truth that you know what's happening and you can plan your future better so that we don't get into this kind of mess again, ever again. Now, Nigeria is supposed to be a federation. And a federation means a collection of constitutions. So it means several constitutions together will make a federation. But all we hear about is the 1999 Constitution. We don't hear of any other except for just that one. So what has happened? We now go back to what happened during independence. At that time, we had 3 regions, West, East, and North. So each region had its constitution. So that's 3 constitutions. They came together to form the Union of Nigeria. So they now had an extra constitution, the federating constitution, to unify all of them. So when you have 3 regions, you have 4 constitutions. Now later on in 1963, we added another region, the Midwest region. So now we had 4 regions, each of them have their constitution, that's 4. Then you have one extra one that, federates us, so you have 5. So now that we have the federating units so the 1999 Constitution tells us are the states, we've got 36 states. Each state should have its own constitution. Then we have an extra one, the federating one. So we should actually have 37 constitutions. Meanwhile, we only have 1. So that is a deceit. Another deceit is the one in the preamble. And the preamble is that sort of introduction that you have on the Constitution. And it's very important because it sets the tone of what the country is going to be like. So Nigeria's preamble, the Constitution, the preamble has these words, and I will read it out because this is where we have an issue. It says, "We, the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity and harmony as one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign nation under God, dedicated to the promotion of inter-African solidarity, world peace, international cooperation and understanding, and to provide for a constitution for the purpose of promoting the good government and welfare of all persons in our country on the principles of freedom, equality, and justice, and for the purpose of consolidating the unity of our people, do hereby make, enact, and give to ourselves the following Constitution." And now you have the other sections of the Constitution. Now, this is what makes it a forgery because it says, "We the people firmly resolved." We did not. Because what they're saying is that the Ijo, Ogoni, Ogoja, Anan, Tiv, Ibira, all of them, Urubo, we resolved to come together on this. We didn't. Then the other thing it says is that we hereby make for ourselves the following Constitution. We didn't do that. So these 2 things are huge lies. And by saying that we did it, it's like they've put our signatures to it. And so that's what makes it a forgery. And because it's a forgery, it is illegitimate. And that's where we have something called a sovereignty or union dispute. Dispute means argument, a grievance. And sovereignty is because the Constitution steals our sovereignty, and union because it's a union, yeah? So it's an argument. And it's on two false claims, those two false claims, which is that we firmly and solemnly resolve to live as one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign nation. And the other one is we do hereby make, enact, and give to ourselves the following constitution. So because of these two lies, we need to sort it out. We need to do the right thing, and we need to do the right thing the right way. So we need to sort it out. And we're using the legal process of constitutional force majeure, which is what Lower Niger Congress organized with their alliance partners. And as NINAS, on the 16th of December, we declared a constitutional force majeure because we're saying that this constitution is a lie. We didn't make it. And it puts our signature to something we didn't do. So those are two lies already, which is that we should have 37 constitutions. Then the second one, the preamble, is saying that we made it. Now, the third big deceit is that when the National Assembly say that they're going to do constitutional amendment exercises, they know it's because that we don't know what a constitution is about. And I will use another little story to illustrate why it's impossible to amend a constitution that is a forgery. So imagine if I have 1,000 naira and I go somewhere and I make a color photocopy of this 1,000 naira, very good one, and I cut it out. Then I now want to use it to go and buy something. I go to the market and I want to buy some eggs. So I give this photocopy of 1,000 naira to the tradesman. Well, he's not going to accept it, is he? Because he can see it's a forgery, it's fake. Then I say, okay, I'm going to amend it. Okay, because this is what the National Assembly say. They say they're going to amend it, a forgery. I said, okay, I'm going to amend it. Give me a pen. I'm going to write something on it. And if I write something on this photocopy, it's going to be real 1,000 naira. It's not true. Or if I say, okay, I'm going to rub out something. Give me an eraser. I'm going to rub something out of it. And then now that photocopy, 1,000 naira becomes real. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we need to be clear about that. When something is a forgery, you cannot make it real. It's a forgery, it's fake, you put it in the dustbin, and then you do a proper one the right way. Another example I can give is there's something called cubic zirconium. They look like diamonds. You can use it like for an engagement ring. It's much cheaper than a diamond ring. But when you pay for it, you pay a lot less than what you would pay for a diamond. So everybody knows, oh, that's a cubic zirconium. But if I want to deceive someone, I know it's a cubic zirconium, and then I lie and I say it's a real diamond. It's not going to work, is it? It's a forgery. It's not true. It's not a real diamond. So you can see that something that is a forgery remains a forgery no matter what. There's no amendment I can do to that cubic zirconium to turn it into a diamond, because it's not a diamond. So we need to get it clear that this constitution is a forgery, and the only thing that we can do is to decommission it. That means to take it down and throw it out and go about getting a proper one the right way. You can, if you want to find out how things like this are done, you can always use Google, and you can get into the nitty-gritty of how these are done. When we decommission the Constitution, it will also give us back our full self-determination, because that 1999 Constitution, it seized it. It hijacked our self-determination and our sovereignty. And that's why they imposed it on us, because they knew we're not going to agree to such a thing. It's like you're agreeing to your own enslavement, and not just your own, that of your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So when we decommission it fully, our self-determination will come back to us, and our sovereignty. All of these will come back to us. Now, you and I may not know how to decommission the 1999 Constitution. Let's not worry too much. There are experts who know how to do it. It's just like if, let's say, you have to have surgery. If you're not a surgeon, you don't know anything about it, but it's okay. You're in the hands of the surgeon. You're right. The expert, the surgeon, he knows how to do it. So they're experts at Lower Niger Congress. They know what to do and they know how to do it. And they are guided by United Nations procedures, okay? So the experts will know what to do, and they will tell us, what they're doing. And when they need our help in it, they'll tell us what we need to do. So it was on the 16th of December last year, 2020, that NINAS declared the Constitutional Force Majeure. They openly repudiated, that means they rejected that 1999 Constitution and said that we're not going to live under it again. So that's the indigenous people of the middle belt of Oduduwa Bloc and Lower Niger Bloc. That's our bloc. We're not the first people in Africa to decommission a constitution that we didn't make. South Africa did it. So and they use legal processes. So although ours is not exactly the same as South Africa's, because they had a slightly different situation, but we're still using that same similar strategy in terms of it's decommissioning a constitution that was not made by we, the people. So as you'll say, oh, that it can't be that easy. Well, it is. It's not a one-day event, but when we declared the Constitutional Force Majeure on the 16th of December 2020, it was representatives from the NINAS territory, that's the Middle Belt, our bloc, and the Yoruba bloc. And they all said, look, we're not living under it. And that's the same kind of thing that Lord Lugard did in 1914. He just declared it. One day he declared, oh, North and South protectorates are, together, and they're making the country Nigeria, and it happened. He just declared it. And another example we can use is that when we have military coups, all of a sudden you'll see on TV or on the radio, one of the officers will come on and then he'll say, oh, I'm the new leader. He's just using his mouth and he's saying it, and so it happens. So the declaration of the Constitutional Force Majeure has that same power. We're saying that we want to do things in a democratic way, in a just way. We want we the people to make our constitution. We do not want to live under a constitution that somebody else made. Now, what we need to also get, and this is important, is that 1999 Constitution, it creates the unitary Nigeria. And we keep on hearing the word unitary. It's because, remember I said that when you have 36 states, you have to have 37 constitutions. So that would have been a federation. We've got the 36 states and we have one constitution, one unit, unitary. So it creates a unitary Nigeria, and all the power is concentrated at the center. The central government has all the power and the states really have little. So this constitution creates that kind of Nigeria, and that constitution is illegitimate because it is a forgery. And it's that constitution that creates the office of president. It creates the office of vice president. It creates the office of governors. It creates the office of deputy governors. It creates the office of INEC chairman, can you see? So when you have a document that is illegitimate, everything it creates is also illegitimate because it'll have the same status. So that is something that we really need to hold on to, because this is the reality. We've been lied to for so long that we're beginning to believe the lie. But the truth is that The status of the constitution is the status of the government that you have. If you have a real government, real constitution, you have a real government. If you have an illegitimate constitution, then the government that it creates is also illegitimate. So because our constitution is fake, it really creates a fake country. So Nigeria is kind of like a hoax, for want of a better word. It's a virtual country. It's not a real country. It's a make-believe one because it's created and it's upheld by that 1999 constitution that's a forgery. So that means that technically, which means in absolute terms, unitary Nigeria and that constitution have ended. They've been defeated. This is technically because it's the illegitimate, it's not valid. Yeah. And we should be able to use our self-determination and our sovereignties to decide what kind of future we want. If we want to be together as a union called Nigeria, fine, we decide that and we will decide it properly by referendum. If we want something else, fine, we will decide that by referendum. So it is we ourselves who will decide what happens. And that is important that we hold on to this truth and this reality. Okay, we really need to, keep to it. Now, because technically we are free, Nigeria has ended. We declared that constitutional force majeure on the 16th of December. We said we're not living under it because we didn't make it. So technically we are free, but we need to make it practical now. So the only people who can stop us getting our freedom, and get this, the only people that can stop us from getting our freedom, and I'll say it third time, the only people that can stop us from getting our freedom is we ourselves. We ourselves. It's not any politician, it's not any big man or big madam, it is you and I are the ones who will stop it. Because we've taken down the constitution, doing the constitutional force majeure. So technically we are free, but it's not for you and I to accept it and act as if we are free. And that's where we're heading to now. How we stop ourselves from getting that freedom is if we allow elections to happen, specifically the 2023 national or general elections. If we allow that to happen, we are the ones stopping our own freedom. The politicians, they make a lot of money when they go for elections. So they know what they're after. They're after money. So they're going to get their money. But you and I, we get nothing except no electricity, insecurity, now genocide, filthy environment, unemployment. So we are the ones stopping our own freedom if we carry on and go for elections. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is so simple. So it is nothing complicated. It is because when you have elections, somebody will win those elections or they rig themselves in. But INEC will declare somebody. On a certain day, that person will be sworn in. So whether it's going to be a senator or a House of Reps member or governor, when they get sworn in, they're holding that 1999 Constitution and they swear, I'm going to live by this 1999 Constitution. I'm going to hold the things inside it over my people for 4 years. That is how they give life to that Constitution that is a forgery, something that should have been put in the dustbin. They give it life because they go for that election, and then when they win, they swear an oath of office. And it has life for 4 years because that's the period of time that they are in that position. And when they go for elections again, they renew the life again. So it is as simple as that. So it is we, the people, who allow it to happen to us. Because now we know the 1999 Constitution is a forgery. We know it is our enemy. We know all this. We can't say like our forefathers, we didn't know this and we didn't know that. We know. We now know that it is elections that give it new life, renews its life. So we are technically free because it's a forgery. But if we want to give likes to a forgery, and the world will be watching us, they'll say, oh, look at those Nigerians. They have a fake constitution that's no good to them, that ruins their life. Oh, but look at them. They're going for elections. Oh, they're accepting a bribe of 5,000 naira, a bag of rice, or whatever it might be, and they're going for elections. Oh, well, if they're going to go for elections, they know it's a forgery. Well, we're going to leave them to suffer. You see? So what we now have to do is that we need to halt preparation for elections in 2023. They need to be halted, suspended. So what we do is we compel political parties, because the candidates, they all come from a political party. So we need to compel political parties in the Lower Niger Bloc, whether it is PDP or APGA or SDP or APC, we compel them to close shop, even if temporarily, okay? Even if temporarily, so that we sit down and dialogue and sort out the wrong situation of having no valid constitution. When we've sorted it out and we get constitutions that we, the people, have made and we, the people, have agreed, then fine, you have elections again. Remember I said that South Africa, they also decommissioned a constitution that they didn't make, the apartheid one. They had a transitional government. There were no general elections while they sorted out their country. And that's what we have to do. So we have to compel political parties to close shop. And they should instead join with their people to dialogue. And there's no other way around it but that. There's no other way. So before I close, I just want to give an example. There's the Indian elephant. The Indian elephant, you can actually tame them. You can't tame the African elephant, and the African elephant is bigger. But the Indian elephant, you can tame them. And over the centuries, people in Indonesia, India, and places like that, they've been using Indian elephants to do their work for them because they're big and strong. So what they do is they take the Indian elephant when it's still very young, and they call it a calf, and they tie a string around its neck, and then they tie that little elephant to a pole. So just imagine this is a pole, and then you have a string and you have an elephant. Then the elephant, the little elephant, he's able to walk around the length of that string. So he can walk in a circle, the length of that string. So he can eat what's there, at least he can get some exercise. But he is tied to the pole. When he needs to do a job, then his owner will ride him and they'll go to the farm or go to whatever. Then when he's back home, they tie him back onto the tree, and he's got that rope, and he goes round and round in circles. So this is how the elephant, he stays like this for years. Then when the elephant gets old and can no longer work, the master will cut off that rope and set the elephant free. So now the elephant can go into the forest and do whatever elephants do. So the elephant is now free. He's technically free because the rope that bound him has been removed by his master. But what we find is that the elephant has been so used to being tied up, that he still goes round in that circle at that distance. His eyes can see that he's gotten a rope, but his mind cannot. His mind sees that rope. So he's going round and round like somebody who is not free, even though he is technically free. That's the position we are in today. The people of our bloc, Lower Niger Bloc, are technically free because of the work of Lower Niger Congress and in the NINAS movement. They were doing this work of getting us free for 21 years. So on the 16th of December 2020, we became technically free. Yeah, so that rope that bound us to unitary Nigeria was cut. But we now need to get it into our heads that we are free. And when we get it into our heads and then we act in a way to make it practically free. And the way to make ourselves practically free is what I've just said, which is that we make sure that there are no elections in 2023 in the Lower Niger Bloc under the 1999 Constitution. Our politicians have to listen to us, and we need to sort everything out. First of all, get constitutions that we want before any new elections. So that is how we will make ourselves practically free. If you look at the Yoruba bloc, they're going on rallies. This is part of it. They're going on rallies here and there. And in their rallies, even the little children are saying no elections in Yoruba land in 2023. They're saying Yoruba nation, no elections in 2023. And the Yorubas are not doing it just in Yoruba land. They're also doing similar rallies abroad, in London and in other places. So we in the Lower Niger Bloc, we need to make our freedom practical. We've got it technically, but we now need to activate it and act it out. And, force brain and eye working together, The Constitution is illegitimate. We have repudiated it. We have declared a constitutional force majeure. These are realities and these are truths. Only we can keep being enslaved and tied to one Nigeria, like that elephant that goes round and round in circles, though it's free. If we carry on allowing the politicians every 4 years to go to elections because we're used to it, we like to say that we are used to it, because we are used to it and we think that we are slaves, but now we're not slaves. So, and if we allow the caliphate, because that is the last card, the only card that the caliphate has left are the 2023 elections. If though we are technically free, we allow the caliphate to enslave us by us going to elections so that our own politicians will give life for another 4 years to the Constitution, we have only ourselves to blame. And it's not going to be like in the past. When I was, in my teens, I could walk around if I had been in Nigeria, but let's just say, somebody in those days, we could walk around in our forests, we could walk around in our farms, no Fulani herdsmen. Today, I cannot walk around in the fields around my ancestral home because of Fulani herdsmen. So things are getting worse. So when I was 17, I could do it. 17-year-old today, try it. Can you see what I'm saying? So things are getting worse. So if we allow our politicians to renew our enslavement, because we don't want, because, we are so tied into the slavery, like that elephant, the Indian elephant, well, not only have we done wrong to ourselves, we have done wrong to our children, because they will suffer it as well. So we need to really be aware of what we are doing and, do the right thing. So before I close, I just want to say that we are needing some volunteers. NINAS needs some volunteers. We need people who can do, well, first of all, the job for them is to sort of like condemn violence, to help in the liberation work, and to raise awareness. So we need people who can do like web design, flyer design, and of course, social media. Now the social media, all of us can do social media. So we're looking for volunteers, and the phone number is it's going to be put on our Facebook page. So look out for that, because for freedom, you and I have to work for it. Lower Niger Congress has been working for 21 years, didn't ask any of us for a penny. They funded it themselves. They've been working for 21 long, good years, yes? And you can imagine, it would be kind of dangerous in a sense, because they're going to stop the caliphate from exploiting us and from killing us. So they've done this for 21 years. And it is now a power of the people. It is now for us to get involved in our own liberation as adults. And so we need to play our part. We cannot, I'm just gonna lie back and Lower Niger Congress will carry me. No, 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 no. You and I now have to get involved. And the very good news, I've said quite a lot of good news, I think, today. Another very good news is that Lower Niger Congress, they divided the work into 16 logical stages. They completed 13 stages without asking you and I for help. They completed that. Now we are at stage 14, okay? We are now at stage 14. So we are nearing the end of the self-determination journey, because it's 14 out of 16. Can you see? We are nearing the end. So that is a message of hope. The first message of hope is that we are technically free. We now need to make ourselves practically free. And that is relatively easy. You don't have to go around killing anyone, shooting anybody, screaming and shouting, being rude on the internet, burning police stations, any of that. You don't have to do that. All we need to do is to compel the political parties in our bloc to close shop, even if temporarily, so we dialogue and have our referendum. And through the NINAS movement, we will do it together. Part of it is doing the rallies. The Yorubas are doing the rallies, and those rallies are having a lot of effect. It's encouraging the Yoruba people. You can see the way they are. They're very happy and proud that their time in this unitary Nigeria is ending. Also, the Yorubas abroad are getting ready, preparing for when the transitional government happens and then the new country that they're going to have. So they're getting ready for the new life and new investments that they're going to do. We should be in that position as well. So we follow the NINAS movement and we key into what we need to do, which is to get the political parties to close shop and suspend elections 23. So that is my message of truth and of hope for today, the 23rd of June, 2021. Are there any questions? Okay. Well, I can't hear any questions, but I can just say again before I say goodbye that we need volunteers to participate in the liberation campaign. They are to condemn violence because Lower Niger Congress and NINAS do not stand for violence. As I said, Lower Niger Congress has been doing this work for 21 years. You will not hear of them being rude and nasty on internet, threatening people. You don't hear that from LNC at all, condemning all sorts of violence, even on the land, whether towards police or anything. That is not the LNC NINAS method. And so condemn violence and to promote the NINAS regional referendums. So the skills that you need are video, okay. It's video production and editing, website design, flyer design, and social media. The social media, we can all do it. If somebody like me, I'm not really, I only started doing social media when I came to Nigeria. So, if I can do social media, so can all of you. And we're doing it for our liberation. So everybody needs to get involved in their own freedom. So you raise awareness about what is going on. The hashtags will be put on the Facebook page. And there is a WhatsApp number. Let me see if I can bring it up. There's a WhatsApp number, and it's only for text. It's +44735268551. And Volley Media are on Instagram and on Twitter. So you can find us there. And we have our Facebook page. Okay, I can see no questions. And so that is me done for this evening. The next program is going to be on Sunday, God willing, this coming Sunday at 7 p.m. That's the next Volley Live show. So tune in and be with us. Bye-bye and be good.
This is Volley Media, Voice of Liberty International, Volley, the voice of all ethnic nationalities in the Lower Niger region under NINAS. The Anang, Beni, Efik, Isha, Ibibio, Igbo, Ikwere, Isoko, Ijo, Kalabari, Obolo, Ogoni, Okrika, Oron, Urobo, and others. This is Voice of Liberty International, Volley, bringing to you messages of hope, trust, and truth. We shall show live broadcasts on the following days: Sunday by 7 p.m., Wednesday by 7 p.m., and Friday by 8 p.m., all at the homeland time. Tune in at these times for live streaming programs. This is Volley Media.